Episode 5 of Foundation is here, and this one was a relatively intimate one, in the sense that we got to take a look inside of the memoriam and a peek at some memories. But realistically, we only got 2/3 of the main characters as the arc with Hober Mallow, Brother Constance and Polly was put on hold, with there being a massive revelation that ties the group of people at the end of the episode to what Gale saw in her vision. Let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this episode. So let's get into it. Here is Foundation Season 2 Episode 5, Ending Explained. By the way, I'm really sorry for not covering the previous 2 episodes. Something came up which prevented me from doing them the previous 2 Fridays, but I'll be covering the rest of the season. Let's start with Harry Seldon, Salvor and Gale. Following the end of last week's episode, we saw that Harry Seldon now had a physical form and was very much alive. The work that Carly carried out essentially allowed his consciousness to have a new, present physical form. Something which we're currently unsure of how it's possible, but knowing Carly and the fact that she had a tangible physical form in the present day as well, and the fact that she wasn't just some kind of holographic projection like we originally thought she was going to be, that same technique has probably been applied to Seldon. This entire episode started with him and us seeing him speaking with Raish on the night that he was killed. So he finally saw the murder taking place and the last words that were spoken between them. We heard Hammy refer to him as his son before he was killed. And then, when he awoke and believed he was back in the physical world, we saw Raish be presented there too, where he said to Harry that he was his son and that he'd let him die. This was something that came to be of great importance right at the end of the episode, as we saw that the Mentalics entered the picture and revealed themselves to be present on Ignis, the planet that Harry, Salvor and Gale crash-landed on. It was said that there was no life on the planet following the Empire walking away, but that wasn't the case at all. So Raish wasn't actually prisoned, it was just a Mentalic using their abilities to plant a projection from inside of Seldon's memory. So this planet was inhabited with Mentalics, people that share telepathic abilities and are able to look inside of people's minds, hence where the title of this episode came from, The Sighted and the Seen. They all fled there from their home planets in the hopes of avoiding being killed by the inhabitants on their original planets, due to them being against their abilities. And then, once on Ignis, they all united as one, under what looks like the leadership of Para, the 7th incarnation of the Empress of Light. At least, that's what she was calling herself. When Salvor went out to explore the planet, we were led to believe that she saw Hugo, but it wasn't the case at all. One of the Mentalics essentially made themselves take the form of Hugo in order to win over her trust with the intention of taking over the ship. Their powers and abilities looked to be extremely strong. We saw that they could take the form of an individual based on the memory inside of their victim. They could look inside of people's minds, and they could also shut down people's minds, and essentially send them to sleep, showing that they do have great strength that lies within them. Right at the end, when we thought that they were welcoming Seldon, Gale and Salvor, we were led to believe that they were on their side. But as the episode closed, we saw that they were digging inside of their minds and drew out the Prime Radiant, and a line was uttered where it was mentioned that they were going to make sure that the second foundation was something that wouldn't be created. With Seldon hiding the Prime Radiant, it does make me wonder if he had any kind of inclination that something like this was going to be happening, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Gale's vision that she had in episode 2 where she saw the mule, the darkness, destruction and Salvor being dead is something that's shaping her judgment on the way that she moves forward. We heard the mule say, "Where are your Mentalics? Where is your second foundation?" So we were led to believe that they were Gale's warriors. But with what we had at the end of this episode, what if Gale, Harry and Salvor are going to be unsuccessful in creating this second foundation and getting the Mentalics on their side before the mule makes its appearance? As I feel that line could well be interpreted in that way too. The show is definitely leading us in a different direction, but it's one that I'm definitely open to exploring. The Mentalics may not be as they seem, but I feel that could just be because of their current leadership. Only time will tell which direction it's going to come in. Trantor and the Empire. This arm of the story has become one that's very much focused around paranoia on all fronts. Queen Sareth, Brother Day and also Dusk and Dawn. Whether it be the assassination attempt from the Blind Angels on Day, the investigative work being done by Sareth to find out if Day was involved in the killing of her family, or Dusk and Dawn worrying about their memories being tampered with. Brother Day is very much set on losing the Cleonic reign and going for a more traditional approach when it comes to ruling an empire. This is something that we're seeing the other two brothers are starting to not like the idea of, due to the fact that they feel as though they're losing the weight of the power that they hold, and the respect that they feel that they deserve. But that's something that naturally comes when relinquishing a percentage of your power. We saw that they visited the memoriam in order to find out if their memories had been tampered with. The way that they planned on doing it was by comparing it to the other iterations of Cleons that were on the database, with all of the Cleons other than the first having around 80 in their system, but Cleon the first having about 200, it raised suspicions that they had removed memories from all of them other than the first, which I imagine has most probably happened. They probably kept the firsts in the database in order to seek inspiration and to see how he could base his core memories. The idea of having one's memories owned by another is something that renders them extremely vulnerable, so maybe some kind of civil war amongst the brothers could be on the cards in the future, with there being a feature on Emperor Algrin in this episode, and it being revealed that he was a traitor. This could well be foreshadowing the direction that Brother Day is going to be going in. It feels as though Queen Sareth's true colors are coming through too. It never really felt like the marriage to Brother Day was something that was heartfelt and had passion behind it. And now her motives and intentions are starting to come out. She wants to truly know if there was any involvement with her family's murder, and it doesn't seem as though she's going to stop until she finds out what happened. Darmazal said today that there was no chance that it would be able to be tied back to him, but I feel there's going to be something that gets slipped up and revealed. Sareth is treading a thin line in accessing the memories in order to find out more about Brother Day. With them finding out that Darmazal was a robot, Sareth is most likely going to have to put on some kind of mask to hide what it was that she saw, and to not raise suspicions. One moment in this episode that was pretty funny was that we saw that Brother Day is not the smoothest in the bedroom whatsoever. Him trying to woo Sareth was pure comedy gold when this episode was unfolding. Overall review. I thought this episode was pretty good. It was on the shorter side for the show, but it's understandable considering that there was nothing of Hober Mallow or Terminus. I'm definitely more invested in the story that's unfolding with Selden, Gale and Salvor. It very much feels like their life is on the line every time they take a step forward. Even now, they've landed on the planet, were met with a threat, didn't seem to be neutralized, but actually they could be scheming going on behind their back. The story on Trantor is definitely more of a political one, and it's a slow burner, but it's definitely getting there. Brother Day is an interesting character and his mind works in extremely mysterious ways in terms of the behavior that he exhibits, so I can't wait to see more of it and how the dynamic is going to change between them all. With it being halfway through the season, there's still so much room for the show to go in, and with 5 more episodes to go, there's plenty of story to get our teeth into. So, there you have it, Foundation Season 2 Episode 5, Ending Explained.